Chapter 20 A Circular Staircase. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ana Sofia Simão de Portugal. The Circular Staircase by Mary Roberts Rinehart. Chapter 20 Dr. Walker's Warning. Warner was on his knees in a moment, flapping at the old man's collar to loosen it, but Elsie caught his hand. "Let him alone," he said. "You can help him. He is dead." We stood there, each avoiding the other's eyes. We spoke low and reverently in the presence of death, and we tacitly avoided any mention of the suspicion that was in every mind. When Mr. Jameson had finished his cursory examination, he got up and dusted the knees of his trousers. "There is no sign of injury," he said, and I know I, for once, drew a long breath of relief. From what Warner says and from his hiding in the closet, I should say he was scared to death, fright and a weak heart together. "But what could have done it?" Gertrude asked. "He was all right this evening at dinner. Warner, what did he say when you found him on the porch?" Warner looked shaken. His honest, boyish face was colorless. "Just what I told you, Miss Innes. He'd been reading the paper downstairs. I had put up the car, and feeling sleepy, I came down to the lodge to go to bed. As I went upstairs, Thomas put on the paper and, taking his pipe, went out on the porch. Then I heard an exclamation from him." "What did he say?" demanded Jameson. "I couldn't hear, but his voice was strange. It sounded startled. I waited for him to call out again, but he did not, so I went downstairs. He was sitting on the porch step, looking straight ahead, as if he saw something among the trees across the road, and he kept mumbling about having seen a ghost. He looked queer, and I tried to get him inside, but he wouldn't move. Then I thought I'd better go up to the house." "Didn't he say anything else you could understand?" I asked. "He said something about the grave giving up its dead." Mr. Jameson was going through the old man's pockets, and Gertrude was composing his arms, folding them across his white shirt bosom, always so spotless. Mr. Jameson looked up at me. "What was it that you said to me, Miss Innes, about murder at a house being a beginning and not an end? By Jove, I believe you're right." In the course of his investigations, the detective had come to the inner pocket of the dead butler's black coat. Here he found some things that interested him. One was a small flat key with a red cord tied to it, and the other was a bit of white paper, on which was written something in Thomas Cramp's hand. Mr. Jameson read it. Then he gave it to me. It was an address in fresh ink: Lucien Wallace, 14 Elm Street, Richfield. As the card went around, I think both the detective and I watched for any possible effect it might have, but, beyond perplexity, there seemed to be none. "Richfield!" Gertrude exclaimed. "Why, Elm Street is the main street. Don't you remember, Elsie?" "Lucien Wallace," Elsie said. "That is the child Stewart spoke of at the inquest." Warner, with his mechanic's instinct, had reached for the key. What he said was not a surprise. "Yale lock," he said. "Probably a key to the east entry." There was no reason why Thomas, an old and trusted servant, should not have a key to that particular door, although the servant's entry was in the west wing. But I had not known of this key, and it opened up a new field of conjecture. Just now, however, there were many things to be attended to, and, leaving Warner with the body, we all went back to the house. Mr. Jameson walked with me, while Elsie and Gertrude followed. "I suppose I shall have to notify the Armstrongs," I said. "They will know if Thomas had any people and how to reach them. Of course, I expect to defray the expenses of the funeral, but his relatives must be found. What do you think frightened him, Mr. Jameson?" "It is hard to say," he replied slowly, "but I think we may be certain it was fright, and that he was hiding from something. I'm sorry in more than one way. I've always believed that Thomas knew something, or suspected something, that he would not tell. Do you know how much money there was in that worn-out wallet of his? Nearly $100, almost 2 months' wages, and yet those darkies seldom have a penny. Well, what Thomas knew will be buried with him." Elsie suggested that the grounds be searched, but Mr. Jameson vetoed the suggestion. "You'd find nothing," he said. "A person clever enough to get into Sunnyside and tear a hole in the wall while I watch downstairs is not to be found by going around the shrubbery with a lantern." With the death of Thomas, I felt that the climax had come in affairs at Sunnyside. The night that followed was quite enough. Elsie watched at foot of the staircase, and the complicated system of bolts on the other doors seemed to be effectual. Once in the night I wakened and thought I heard the tapping again, but all was quiet, and I had reached the stage where I refused to be disturbed for minor occurrences. The Armstrongs were notified of Thomas' death, and I had my first interview with Dr. Walkers as a result. He came up early the next morning, just as we finished breakfast, in a professional-looking car with a black hood. I found him striding up and down the living room, and, in spite of my preconceived dislike, I had to admit that the man was presentable. A big fellow he was, tall and dark, as Gertrude had said, smooth-shaven and erect, with proeminent features and a square jaw. He was painfully spruce in his appearance, and his manner was almost obtrusively polite. "I must make a double excuse for this early visit, Miss Innes," he said as he sat down. The chair was lower than he expected, and his dignity required collecting before he went on. "My professional duties are urgent and long-neglected, and—" a fall to the everyday manner. "Something must be done about that body." "Yes," I said, sitting on the edge of my chair. "I merely wished the address of Thomas' people. You might have telephoned if you were busy." He smiled. "I wish to see you about something else," he said. "As for Thomas, it is Mrs. Armstrong's wish that you would allow her to attend to the expense. About his relatives, I have already notified his brother in the village. It was heart disease, I think. Thomas always had a bad heart." "Heart disease and fright," I said, still on the edge of my chair. But the doctor had no intention of leaving. "I understand you have a ghost up here, and that you have the house filled with detectives to exorcise it," he said. For some reason I felt I was being pumped, as Elsie says. "You have been misinformed," I replied. "What, no ghosts, no detectives?" he said, still with his smile. "What a disappointment to the village." I resented his attempt at playfulness. It had been anything but a joke to us. "Dr. Walker," I said tartly, "I fail to see any humor in the situation. Since I came here, one man has been shot and another one has died from shock. There have been intruders in the house and strange noises. If that is funny, there is something wrong with my sense of humor." "You miss the point," he said, still good-naturedly. "The thing that is funny to me is that you insist on remaining here under the circumstances. I should think nothing would keep you." "You are mistaken. Everything that occurs only confirms my resolution to stay until the mystery is cleared." "I have a message for you, Miss Innes," he said, rising at last. "Mrs. Armstrong has me to thank you for your kindness to Louis, whose whim, occurring at the time it did, put her to great inconvenience. Also, and this is a delicate matter, she asked me to appeal to your natural sympathy for her, at this time, and to ask you if you will not reconsider your decision about the house. Sunnyside is her home. She loves it dearly, and just now she wishes to retire here for quiet and peace." "She must have had a change of heart," I said, ungraciously enough. "Louise told me her mother despised the place. Besides, this is no place for quiet and peace just now. Anyhow, doctor, while I don't care to force an issue, I shall certainly remain here for a time at least." "For how long?" he asked. "My lease is for 6 months. I shall stay until some explanation is found for certain things. My own family is implicated now, and I shall do everything to clear the mystery of Arnold Armstrong's murder." The doctor stood looking down, slapping his gloves thoughtfully against the palm of a well-looked-after hand. "You say there have been intruders in the house?" he asked. "You are sure of that, Miss Innes?" "Certain." "In what part?" "In the east wing." "Can you tell me when these intrusions occurred, and what the purpose seemed to be? Was it robbery?" "No," I said decidedly. "As to time, once on Friday night a week ago, again the following night, when Arnold Armstrong was murdered, and again last Friday night." The doctor looked serious. He seemed to be debating some question in his mind, and to reach a decision. "Miss Innes," he said, "I am in a peculiar position. I understand your attitude, of course. But do you think you are wise? Ever since you have come here there have been hostile demonstrations against you and your family. I'm not a croaker, but take a warning. Leave before anything occurs that will cause you a lifelong regret." "I am willing to take the responsibility," I said coldly. I think he gave me up then as a poor proposition. He asked to be shown where Arnold Armstrong's body had been found, and I took him there. He scrutinized the old place carefully, examining the stairs and the lock. When he had taken a formal farewell, I was confident of one thing: Dr. Walker would do anything he could do to get me away from Sunnyside. End of chapter 20.